Hello. All right. Okay. No, hold on. All right. So I'm taking a break from Axiom Verge for a bit, and I'll play this game. Detective D. Probably D, right? Won't be die. Unless it's die. This game will create an autosave at the start of each new chapter. You can also save manually at any time via the pause menu. Okay. Huh. Diplomatic means. Oh. Yes. Cute score. Oh, this is very pretty. Penglai Tang Dynasty, China. The messenger said I would find an officer standing guard. This must be the right place. Would you like to read the short? Sure. Click, choose the action, double click, walk faster. Click on Detective Vision to reveal all objects on the scene. Click the sack. Open inventory, click on inventory object to examine it. Drag and drop an object to use or combine it. Click pause. Access to show enter in case. If a case is underway, click the red seal. To open the deduction board. So there's a deduction board. You have to turn down the music. This menu kind of looks familiar. Did they probably use the same. Let's see if they use Adventure Creator or not. We will see. But the pause menu is inside. I hereby bestow upon you the rights and responsibilities as prescribed by Imperial Law of Investigating Magistrate of the District of Penglai. My official mandate, as decreed by the Imperial Court, it's authenticated by the Royal Dragon Seal. Oh, the animation's so smooth. I like it when they do the very chunky sprites and then the background's like very detailed. I don't know. I kind of like that. Some people don't like that, but I like that. He must be the officer the messenger spoke of. My name's Direnji. I am the newly appointed investigating magistrate of Penglai. A messenger was sent to fetch me only 30 minutes ago. He named Foreign Minister Wang Hua as his employer. I understand I'm meant to help with an urgent matter. You're the new investigating magistrate? Excuse my bluntness, but I wasn't expecting someone so young. You have a keen eye. I've just recently completed my studies in the capital, and this is my first appointment as a county magistrate. But in my time in the capital, I gained invaluable experience serving as secretary of the Imperial Archives and as assistant to the Imperial Councilor before that. But I believe the minister requested my presence urgently. We must not keep him waiting. Of course, apologies for my indiscretion, but on a night like this, one can't be too careful. On a night like this... I am Sergeant Feng Chenglong, Minister Wang's private guard. Please, may I see some proof of your title? Thank you, Magistrate D. The minister's waiting for you in the entrance courtyard. Is this a minister? That must be the foreign minister Wang. I heard he was appointed by the emperor himself. He is a powerful man. Why would he seek my assistance at this hour? No doubt a matter of life and death. I fear the worst. You must be Minister Wang. And you must be Di Renji, the new magistrate of our little coastal district. I wish we could have met under less dire circumstances. I understand you've only been at your new post for 2 weeks. The minister is well informed. I've only begun to settle in to my new station. The area is still quite new to me. In truth, I have only visited the military fort so far. This compound, on the other hand, I did not know existed. Indeed, this estate was built just recently to serve only the most exclusive guests of the Empire. Its existence is strictly on a need-to-know basis. What do I need to know? So it appears you put me in a privileged position. But why? Of that you are correct, young magistrate, but one word of advice, that position you speak of is fraught with danger. Knowledge, after all, comes at a price. But you seem keen enough. Good. I'll start from the beginning. As you know, this district borders a coastal region that is under a constant threat by the Korean Navy. I was sent here and tasked to conduct secret negotiations with my Korean counterpart, Ambassador Choi. The Emperor himself summoned me to help deliver his proposed border treaty, a move that would undoubtedly help him regain favor in the eyes of the court and the kingdom. Needless to say, there are factions that would love nothing more than to see the Emperor fail. The Emperor is the Emperor in jeopardy? Are you suggesting that the Emperor's enemies are on the move? Of that there is no doubt. If 30 years in the imperial court has taught me anything, it is that no emperor can truly rest. Night after night he lies awake anticipating the next shadow. His enemies are too numerous, too persistent. Who threatens the emperor? The kingdom is prosperous. Who would dare defy the emperor? The imperial court is full of usurpers waiting for their chance to strike. That is why this treaty is more than a simple diplomatic calculation. Its symbolic value is immeasurable. The Emperor must show his strength now more than ever, or I'm afraid his legacy will end badly. My father served under our Majesty. He is a capable and beloved ruler. Your father served a young and vibrant man. Today the Emperor is an old and feeble leader, a mere shadow of his former self. As his health wanes, his wife Wu Zetian. Oh wait, that sounds familiar. Grows with influence. Isn't she the Empress that's in Civ 6 or 5? I forget which one. As his favor falls, Consort Wu gains power behind the curtains. So that's the setting of this. And what of you, Minister Wang? Where do you stand? Barely 5 minutes ago, I was still enjoying the life of a retired official. But who refuses the Emperor? Clearly, he needed an outsider like me for the job, a loyalist unlikely to be influenced by his detractors. Yet tonight I stand at the precipice, looking clumsily at the bottom of a ravine. Perhaps you can save me? Now come with me. Moments later, on the far side of the compound. Oh. The unfortunate man you see before you is Choi Yong-jun, the Korean ambassador to China. Tonight was meant to be a triumphant victory, but fate has a cruel way of shuffling the deck just as you begin to believe in your own destiny. Tell me what happened. Ambassador Choi and I had been meeting here secretly for weeks. Our work on the treaty was almost complete, and we arranged to meet this evening to finalize it. It started innocently enough. Choi and his private guard arrived in time for supper as usual. After a light meal, our business began in earnest over some jasmine tea, just as it had many times before. But what follows is a terrible blur. I remember suddenly becoming very dizzy. Moments later, I felt myself resting my head on the table before me, closing my eyes and unable to open them again. When I woke, it felt like I had slept for hours. Someone must have witnessed this. That was my hope, but when I interrogated the others, all had the same answer. Unconscious, each and every one. And Choi? He was gone. No one knew what happened to him, so I ordered an immediate search of the entire estate. We looked everywhere. In the end, it was his private guard who found him here, murdered in cold blood. Apparently, the ambassador had previously commented on how peaceful this waterfall made him feel. How ironic. It is hard to deny the serenity of this place. May he rest in peace. Let me remind you that if we do not find a suitable explanation for the ambassador's death, tonight's events could create a rift between our two nations that no diplomatic means could mend. That is why you must solve this case tonight, or the consequences will be grave for all of us. Yes, of course. I shall start with my investigation. Has anyone been allowed to leave the premises? No. I've ordered everyone to stay until this matter is resolved. I myself walked to the nearby military outpost to request a messenger be sent for you. Otherwise, none have been permitted to step outside of this gated compound. Very well. I shall interview each person and search the area for clues. Used candle. Looks like a partially used candle. Looks like a hat. A bloody cap belonging to the ambassador. His body is partially underwater. If any forensics evidence existed, it's likely to have been washed away. I won't be able to rely on an autopsy, so I'll need to examine him carefully. The back of his head has been smashed in by a narrow, jagged object, likely killing him on impact. Something is tucked under his undershirt. A silk handkerchief with the ambassador's seal. No defensive wounds or any signs of a struggle. Could he have known his attacker? Same footprints are still visible at the edge of the water. Some footprints. Curiously, it seems he was facing away from his attacker when the assault happened. The blow to his head was fatal, but why was he facing away from his killer? I need to find the murder weapon. Unless he was threatened or carried here, it seems the ambassador came on his own volition. But why? Perhaps he knew the killer. Yes, how can I help? Why did you ask for me? As the investigating magistrate of this district, you are responsible for all matters of law and order that arise within its borders. As such, you are judge, jury, prosecutor, and detective. Notwithstanding the secret nature of these meetings, you alone have the jurisdiction to investigate and solve this case. And by the heavens, I hope you do. Can you tell me more about this compound and the people present tonight? This compound is comprised of a small house in a private garden, which itself surrounds this waterfall. When in use, it is attended to by the staff of 3, a house steward, a cook, and a maidservant. The ambassador and I each have a private bodyguard who remain by our sides at all times. Where are they now? You met my guard at the front gate. Ambassador Choi's guard is standing outside this very cave. The house steward is trying to keep himself busy in the main courtyard, and you'll find the cook and the maidservant in the house. Any idea how you were rendered unconscious? Some sort of sleep-inducing drug, I imagine? At first I thought our food might have been tampered with, but since dinner was served only to the ambassador and I, this could hardly explain why the others succumbed as well. After waking, I examined the candles that were lit earlier in the evening, and judging by their condition, it seems we passed out for just half an hour. What if it's in the candles? What if... because you can, like, put stuff in candles to make it evaporate into the air. Yet the remarkable thing is, if all accounts are true, everyone in the house passed out at the same time. When I worked as a secretary for the Imperial Archives, I once read of a case in which a powerful sleeping gas was introduced into a closed room. All within it were knocked out minutes later. If what you say is true, highly possible a similar method was used here. As a matter of fact, at the time of dinner, all doors and windows were indeed closed. What happened before you passed out? Did you notice anything out of the ordinary? I've replayed the events leading up to the disappearance over and over, but alas, nothing suspicious comes to mind. Were you the first to regain consciousness? No, the house steward and Choi's guard were already awake. They claim to have come to only moments earlier. The others woke shortly after I did. Who knew about these secret meetings? For obvious reasons, the people presently here have some degree of knowledge about the meetings themselves. But the Emperor himself is the only one who knows the nature of the work the ambassador and I were engaged in. The treaty was only to be made public after we had finalized it. Evidently, we were not cautious enough. What is so important about this treaty? Our work here would have ensued a decade of prosperity between our two nations. Who do you think that benefits the most? The Koreans? No. We have no stomach for war against our empire in the first place. Make no mistake, our emperor is the only one who would have gained the most from this agreement, allowing him to recapture the hearts and minds of the people in the twilight of his reign. But he will be the one paying most dearly for its failure. Like vultures circling on a weak prey, his enemies will advance, mark my words. You have much to learn, young magistrate. We live in uncertain times. Each move we make now either secures the empire or precipitates its demise. Do you have any reason to suspect anyone here? I wish I could say I do, but to my knowledge no one here had any motive to kill him. Oh, let me see. Says I can't leave. Or should I be looking at the stuff I have? A secret pocket is sewn in the lining. There is a small piece of folded paper inside. A handkerchief made of expensive silk. The ambassador's seal is embroidered in the bottom right corner. How long will this charade go on? You will not get rid of me so easily. I will have my answer tonight. Captain Bay! The death of his master will undoubtedly carry severe consequences upon his return to Korea. My name is D. Renji. I am in charge of this investigation. Are you Ambassador Choi's military guard? Yes, sir. I am Captain Bay of the Korean Royal Guard. But there is no need for any further formalities. I do not wish to speak to any Chinese officials until an investigative team from my country is present. What do you mean? Why should I trust a Chinese detective when it is under Chinese care that the ambassador has been assassinated? Do you think me that naive? I can help you find answers, but you have to trust me. Trust you? How do I know this wasn't a plot concocted by your own government? How do I know you are not part of the act? I understand your reservations, but if we do not act tonight, the trail may be lost, and we may lose our only chance to apprehend the killer. How can we do nothing? How can we just do nothing and wait? I will make a bargain with you. Show me that you are truly here to find the truth. Show me your skills as an investigator, and I will cooperate and answer your questions. Very well. You have a deal. I will return when I have uncovered more about the case. I shall expect your cooperation. I can feel its mist brushing against my skin, yet there is a gentle stillness to these falls that's hard to describe. Something seems to be stuck inside the tree trunk. That object's lodged in there and it's just beyond my grasp. I'll need something to extend my reach. These large stone lanterns help illuminate the garden. From the looks of it, this lovely cherry blossom was in full bloom just days ago. A piece of cloth has been dropped on the ground. It's a rag coated with some kind of herbal oil. Can't quite identify the herb, but it has a minty aroma. Perfect for a late night game of chess. His blank expression suggests a man looking for a distraction, but sweeping the floor doesn't seem to be helping. Are you? Are you the steward of his estate? Yes, sir. You must be the Renji. The Renji. The detective Minister Wang spoke of. I'm Song Yu Mi. I manage the small staff that cares for this compound and its guests. It's a relief to see you here, sir. Perhaps now we can find out what really happened here tonight. That is my hope also. Can you tell me how the night unfolded? Dreadfully, sir. Not in 100 years could I have imagined such terror. We thought this place was safe, untouchable evening. But those notions were quickly smashed to bits tonight. Go on. Well, I was in the kitchen when it happened. I was overseeing the plating of some desserts with Chef Chu when, for no apparent reason, he just tumbled to the ground like a large sack of rice. I bent down to assist him, but suddenly my vision became blurry and my legs felt weak. My weight pulled me to the floor, and that was that. I was out cold. Later, when I came to and saw that Chu was still on the ground, I checked to see if he was still alive. She was. I knew then that I had to run to the sitting room, where I suspected the others had suffered a similar fate, or worse. And there they were, all unconscious, except for the ambassador's bodyguard. As I looked at him standing over his master's seat, it was that moment that I realized the ambassador was missing. Did you wake the others? No, I didn't want to risk it. Who knows what kind of poison we have been subjected to? But there was no need. Only moments later they all started waking one by one. Once Minister Wang became fully aware of the situation, he immediately ordered us to search the premises for Ambassador Joy. I was as shocked as everyone else when his own guard found him dead in the garden grotto. What matter of sorcery could have lured him into that cave? That is indeed a vital question. But for now, tell me about yourself and your staff. Well, the staff here is small, but we manage. Chef Chu and I have been working here since the beginning. Sun Ying, the maidservant, came on board last spring. We had to replace the first maidservant because her mother was sick and she wanted to return home to care for her. The rules and routines here are very strict, and with all the secrecy and all, so there's little room for error or improvisation. And tonight was no exception. How did you prepare for tonight? Did everything go accordingly to plan? Yes, sir. Our preparations were meticulous as always. We first greeted Minister Wang, followed by the ambassadors shortly after sundown. I set the tables and lit the evening candles, and we promptly began serving supper and then tea. That's when I headed back to the kitchen to help prepare the desserts. Well, you know what happened next. Did anyone else eat besides the minister and the ambassador? No, sir. The staff isn't allowed to eat until long after the guests have left. They've been instructed to eat before they arrive here, so it's usually not a concern. Same goes for the bodyguards. Am I right to assume that all the food is prepared on site? That's right, sir. Everything is prepared here by Chef Chu. We don't allow any food from the outside. You said you lit the candles in the house at the start of the evening. What kind of candle did you use? For that you have to ask Sun Ying, the maidservant. She manages our candle supply. Did anyone change or handle the candles after you initially lit them this evening? No, sir. Our candles usually last well into the night. Even now they still burn in the house. Why are you sweeping? Under the circumstances, the minister has surely given you leave of your regular duties. Yes, sir. It's just for me, or rather for my nerves. Keeping busy helps me stay relaxed. Besides, after all these years doing this job, I'm not used to sitting and waiting. Old habits die hard, I guess. Thank you. I'll leave you to your work. It's no trouble, sir. Her hands are trembling, like the others' night seems to have taken a toll. Nonetheless, her rare beauty is quite striking. I'm Magistrate D. Renji. I'd like to ask you some questions. Yes, sir, of course. My name is Sun Ying. I'm the maidservant. I'd like to hear your account of what happened tonight. Can you take me back to the beginning? Well, it all happened so fast. I remember the minister and the ambassador arriving one after the other, just after nightfall. I remember them settling in the sitting room. The minister sat here against the wall, and the ambassador was over there to his left. We began the dinner service soon after that. Later, I remember Mr. Song saying he was going to the kitchen to check on the desserts, and that's when things took a terrible turn. One moment I was serving tea, and the next I was lying on the floor, confused and disoriented. When I realized we had been drugged and that the ambassador had been killed, I was so afraid. Didn't know what to think. All I know is he didn't deserve to die that way. But our destinies are often bound beyond our own control. We bend and break at the mercy of a higher power. I'm sorry, sir. Didn't mean to ramble on. No need to apologize. What's taken place here tonight will unnerve the best of us. Thank you for your kind words. I hope you find the person who did this and bring them to justice. Tell me about yourself. I'm just a simple servant girl, have been since I was little. My parents died when I was very young, so I had to learn to fend for myself. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you treated well here? That I am, sir, very well. Minister Wang is a good man, and Mr. Song is very demanding, but I've never known him to be unreasonable. But now that this has happened, I wonder if they'll continue to let us work here. How did you end up working here? I applied to an agency. They put my name on a waiting list, and they told me to contact me if anything come up. I heard the girl who worked before me had to leave because she had to take care of her sick mother. I guess I was just next in line. After that, I was happy to pay them their finder's fee. Who supplies the candles that are used throughout the house? I buy a new batch every week from a local candle maker. I don't remember his name, sir, but everybody in town buys their candles from his shop. Did you notice anything different about the latest batch? No, sir, they looked and smelled the same to me. They're just plain, unscented candles. I'd like to examine any leftovers you have. Where do you keep them? Yes, of course. They're stored in a small lockbox in the storage room. Here's the key. She sounds... I don't know if she's supposed to sound nervous or sus. Are you the chef? Yes, sir. Chu Fu's the name. You must be the detective. Yes, I'm D. Renji. I'm the newly appointed the new investigating magistrate of Penglai. I've heard of you. Is that so? Yes, my cousin Singh is the cook at the military fort. He told me all about your recent visit here. He even told me he prepared his specialty pork dumplings. But between you and me, I would be a bit surprised if you've had better. That cousin of mine, he's always been a bragger. You seem strangely undisturbed by tonight's events, Chef Chu. Tell me, have you been drinking wine? Well, I suppose I did have a sip of wine here and there. It's been such a long and stressful night, I was just trying to calm my nerves a little. I see. And do you think you're fit enough to answer a few questions? Fit enough? Huh. I'd wager I'm the sharpest one here, sir. You needn't worry 1 second. Fire away. Very well. What were you doing before you fell unconscious? Let's see, I was standing over there, plating those custard tarts. Mr. Song was standing right beside me. I swear that man wouldn't know the difference between a tart and a pie if his life depended on it. Don't get me wrong, he's a hard-working man and everything, but he doesn't know heads and tails in this kitchen. Well, anyway, it was around then that I started feeling dizzy, like I was in a drunken haze. But without the drinking. I think I must have blacked out after that. Last thing I remember is a distinct metallic smell in the air. Regrettably, I passed out before I could identify it. You think you could have identified it? Didn't I tell you? At the risk of sounding boastful, I am blessed with a nose, or should I say a precise instrument, capable of recognizing any ingredient by only its scent. In culinary school, they used to call me the Hound. One whiff of someone's breath and I could tell them the contents of their last meal. Kinda sounds disgusting. Would you like to give it a try? Why not? I don't see why not. Puff. Sniff. Seems like you had some steamed chicken. Prepared with ginger and chives, am I right? That's correct. That's quite a talent you have there, Chef Chu. Ha! I knew a man like you could appreciate such refined senses. If you would like me to demonstrate it again, feel free to bring me anything with the slightest hint of an aroma, and I'll identify the source. Sounds quite useful. I'll keep that in mind. What can you tell me about tonight's dinner service? The minister prefers his meals light and simple, and tonight's menu was no different. I first prepared a sweet duck soup, followed by some fried fish cakes and white rice. Custard tarts were next, but as it turns out, we never got around to serving those. Do you prepare the food all by yourself? Of course. Unlike my cousin who relies on his assistants, I don't let anyone else touch my food. You want to know about me? I see where this is going. I suppose we're all suspects here, aren't we? No need to be tactful around me, sir. I know how this works. You pretend your questions are harmless and routine while all along setting a trap for the unsuspecting wrongdoer. Isn't that right? There's nothing routine about an investigation into the murder of a high-ranking diplomat. Now, Chef Chu, either you start taking this seriously or I detain you in our fine jailhouse for wrongdoers until you start sobering up. I'm terribly sorry, sir. I was just jesting. I didn't mean to offend. Must be the wine. I'm not usually this talkative. Yeah, so as I was saying, I came from a long line of chefs, 4 generations, if you can believe it. I've been a chef now for 16 years, and that's exactly 2 more than my older cousin Singh. In recent years, I have settled for working for the imperial court, going wherever they ask. The pay is a little better, and I don't mind the traveling. A bachelor's life has its perks, you know. Do you have any theories about the murder? It's those damn revolutionaries. They're plotting to overthrow the empire. I just know it. They have eyes and ears everywhere. My cousin Singh, he thinks I'm crazy. Doesn't think the throne is vulnerable, but that's exactly the kind of thinking that would get you in trouble. You wouldn't have to have any proof of these conspiracy theories, would you? Proof? Well, not exactly. You see, it's more a gut feeling than anything else. All these years cooking for scholars, aristocrats, and officers, one picks up on these things. I see. Well, unless your gut can muster up some actual evidence relating to the situation at hand, I'd rather we leave those grand theories for another day. Ah, yes, of course. You seem quite fond of your cousin Singh. Fond of him? You must be joking. He's been a nuisance all my life. He's more like a rival, a nemesis. Who am I kidding? Singh's the only family I got a true friend. Wait, you're not going to tell him I said that, are you? You can't. You mustn't, or I won't hear the end of it. No need to worry, I won't tell a soul. Hello, Emerald. How are you doing? No worries. Thank you for the lurk. Can I identify the origin of the oil in this rack? It's peppermint. Peppermint? Are you certain? Positive. Granted, I don't generally cook with it, but it's a fine medicinal oil, perfect for clearing a mild headache, or perhaps a severe case of drunkenness. One whiff of this stuff will wake you right up. Yes, of course, the killer had planned to put everyone to sleep, including the ambassador, but needed a way to wake him up. Thank you, Chef Chu. That was very helpful. Mmm. 3 sets of keys. Do you recognize the scent of the discolored part of this candle? That's the same faint metallic scent that I detected in the air just prior to falling unconscious. It's hard to pinpoint since the substance is meant to be burned, but I'd wager a full purse that we're dealing with some form of opium. Opium can be used to induce sleep. I suppose in the hands of a skilled chemist or herbalist, it could be harnessed in such a way. Thank you for your assistance, Chef Chu. What can I do for you, detective? Tell me about yourself. Before I was reassigned to protect Minister Wang, I was a guard at the Imperial Palace. Frankly, I didn't even know I was being considered for this mission when my superior told me I'd been picked for the job. I can't complain, though. I'd much rather be out here in the countryside than roaming the halls of that stuffy palace. Excuse my bluntness again, sir. What are your thoughts on the ambassador's murder? Truthfully, sir, I think the rest of us are lucky to be alive. I know I'll be thanking the gods in my prayers tonight. If I may be so bold, sir, something tells me the Ambassador Choi was up to no good. Why else would someone go through all that trouble just to get him? And whoever it was, they sure knew what they were doing. What can you tell me about Minister Wang? Minister Wang is an immensely disciplined man. His dedication to his work is remarkable. Although I don't know the details, I know that whatever treaty he and Ambassador Choi were working on was of great importance. And he poured himself into it. I just hope that after what happened tonight, some part of that work can still be saved. Have there been any other incidents since your time here in Penglai? That's just it, sir. There have been no disturbances until today. Everything has been going so well. All that was left was for the two sides to sign the agreement, and the mission would have been complete. What are the security arrangements for this compound and its guests? My job is to ensure the security of the minister. Where he goes, I go. This compound simply acts as a secure meeting place. Since it's situated behind a military base just north of here, and its location is kept top secret, there's no need for additional guards, which would only raise suspicion. I see. And dignitaries such as Ambassador Choi also travel with guards? Yes, sir. If they travel alone, they do so at their own risk. In fact, many officials would travel with a larger contingent of bodyguards, but for these meetings, I heard the Emperor himself requested that the secrecy be of top priority. Hmm. Oh, the charcoal tongs could be used to grab something in that room. Oops. Fuck me. A bronze candlestick must have been dropped into the water carried by the current into the tree trunk. There are small traces of blood, and its shape matches that of the wound on the ambassador's head. This must be the murder weapon. It's a perfect fit, down to the melted wax residue on the candlestick. Clearly, these two items were taken from the house at the time of the murder. And now what? I feel like I've asked everyone. Unless I'm supposed to do something specific. Can I ask them about the candlestick? Like where it would come from? What? Did I miss anything outside? Oh, okay. I didn't understand that we could talk with him. Right? It appears I have misjudged you, Magistrate Lee, and I trust you understand the gravity of the situation. I certainly do, sir, but the truth is, I failed at my job, and now the ambassador is dead. The ambassador was a strict man, but he was always fair and honorable. But I have failed him. I have failed my country, and now my family will know shame for a generation because of it. If only I could face the killer right now, it would surely. Calm yourself, Captain. Thoughts of vengeance will get us no closer to the truth. Much more hangs in the balance than just your pride. I'm sorry, I shouldn't let my emotions take over. Tell me what you remember. Truthfully, I am as confounded now as when I first fell unconscious. I was standing in the corner of the sitting room, observing the ambassador and the minister when they suddenly could no longer support my own weight. My head was spinning and the balance was gone. I fell hard on the ground and then blackness. You see this? The bump on my head was not there earlier today, I can tell you that. And what happened after you woke? When it became clear that the ambassador was not inside the house, I had a hunch that he might be here. So I came running immediately. That's when I discovered his lifeless body inside the cave. How did you know he would be in the grotto? It was just a guess, sir. You see, the ambassador spent much of his time here when he wasn't working. He enjoyed this garden very much, in particular this waterfall. He would often spend entire afternoons out here and inside the cave. On those days he seemed peaceful. Did anyone ever join him in the cave? No, sir, never. This is the only entrance, and I was always standing guard at this very spot. In fact, no one else could have gone without me knowing. What about you? Did you ever join him inside? No, the ambassador made it very clear that he was not to be disturbed. Did you notice anything unusual about the ambassador? Ambassador Choi was a very private man. We rarely talked about anything other than official business. But from my vantage point, he did strike me to be especially preoccupied in the recent weeks. Preoccupied? How so? I can't explain it really. There was just this look in his eyes. Like his mind was drifting, you know? The look on someone's face when they're daydreaming. And of course, all that time he spent in that cave by himself was so strange. I could never understand why he liked it in there so much. Had you seen him like that before? In all my years serving as his personal bodyguard, I can't recall a time where he appeared so distracted. But these last few weeks something seemed to be bothering him. Are you aware of anyone who wanted to harm the ambassador? In Penglai? I find that very hard to believe. Since our arrival 5 months ago, we have resided in the Chinese military base down the road and have rarely ventured beyond those walls. Outside of his regular visits here to work on the treaty, the ambassador was very careful to avoid all unnecessary contact. You say he spent a lot of time in this compound. Did he have much contact with any of his staff members? He rarely spoke to them directly. Most of the time, if he had any requests, they were delivered by me. And those were usually the mundane type, like asking the cook to put less salt in his meals, or requesting the maid servant to put his cap out to dry. That reminds me, I need to retrieve the ambassador's cap from the main courtyard. There's already a cap by his body. Are you sure you're not mistaken? There's already a cap near the ambassador's body. How can it be in the main courtyard? Well, you see, the ambassador is a rather portly man, and on humid nights such as this, he has a tendency to perspire, causing the underside of his cap to become damp. He used to complain about the discomfort, so he usually carried a spare cap with him. It was customary for him to switch to a fresh one before a meal. Did you ask the maidservant to take it out this evening? Yes, in fact, the maidservant usually came to collect the cap as soon as we arrived. I suppose she picked up on the routine pretty quickly. Interesting. So the cap in the cave is the replacement, and the one in the main courtyard is the original he was wearing when he arrived. Yes, that's correct. Where exactly can I find the original? I think the maidservant usually puts it on the stone bench by the north wall of the main courtyard. In that case, allow me to retrieve the hat for you, Captain. I'll be sure to return it after you've examined it. Of course. Thank you, Magistrate. I didn't see a cap. There's no cap here. Captain Bay said the ambassador cap should be on the bench. Where could it be? I'm looking for Ambassador Choi's cap, the one that the maidservant would have taken out to dry upon his arrival this evening. Have you seen it? I'm afraid I haven't seen it, sir. You'd better asking Sun Ying. But she's a clumsy girl, that one, and wouldn't surprise me if she misplaced it. Between you and me, I don't think she'll last here much longer. What makes you say that? Well, I suppose I've seen her kind before, sir. Careless and too cunning for her own good. I can tell the good ones from the bad ones, you know. I've served in many distinguished houses, like the Liangs of the Duji province. You must have heard of them. I served the great Liang family for over 10 years, that is, until 2 years ago, when the eldest son threw away their fortune in the gambling halls. I thought then that my fate had been sealed, destined to wait tables in tasteless inns and wine houses. Fortunately, the Liang matriarch was good enough to write me a letter of recommendation before things got even worse. That's how I ended up here, sir. So you were acquainted with Minister Wang? No, not at the time, sir. But you see, Minister Wang was once very close to the Liang clan. And when I presented him with proof that I had served the Liang household with distinction, he was quite swift in his decision to hire me. Yes, I remember now. I heard about the Liangs while I was taking my final literary examination in the capital. If memory serves, official reports held that after suffering the shame of financial ruin, the entire family had committed suicide in their ancestral home in Duji. Hello? News of that terrible scandal echoed around the capital for weeks. It was a horrible affair, sir, indeed. Simply horrible. What the hell? Didn't expect that drop. I can't quite put my finger on it, but his account of the Liang tragedy felt hasty and insincere. Unfortunately, my knowledge of that affair is only second-hand. I'll need something more substantial if I wish to confront him. Perhaps Mr. Wang would know more. Mr. Song told me that an interesting tale about how he became the steward of his estate. He credits a letter written by the late Madame Liang of Duji. Yes, that is true. I did hire him largely on the strength of that recommendation. Liang Tao and his wife were a formidable aristocratic couple whose influence reached far and wide. I was fortunate enough to call him myself a friend, but over the years we had lost touch. Truth be told, even at a young age, their firstborn son was an incorrigible troublemaker who had left an unsettling impression on me. Perhaps I distanced myself without even knowing it. In the end, that his gambling addiction was the cause of their downfall did not entirely surprise me. Even so, when I heard the news of their tragic demise, I was deeply saddened. I made many inquiries, holding out hope that the rumors surrounding the ritual suicide were grossly exaggerated, that perhaps some members of the family had survived the ordeal. I understand this is a sensitive personal matter for you, Minister, but I assure you I wouldn't be asking if it wasn't important. Very well, my initial inquiries were fruitless, until one day, months later, I received word from a reliable source that someone had indeed escaped unharmed. Although Madame Liang had accepted the path that her husband had chosen, her compliance did not extend to taking the life of their 3-year-old granddaughter. She secretly made sure the young one was spared the lethal dose of poison that killed the rest of them. How remarkable. Indeed, that little girl, she is nothing less than a miracle. With luck, she will live out the rest of her life peacefully in Chengdu, where we were able to locate a distant relative willing to take her in. So you see, when Song came to me with that letter of recommendation, I took it as an act of providence, one last opportunity to do right by my old friends. Now that I know more about private details about the Liang affair, I can confront Song to see if his story holds up. I was told you were responsible for replacing the ambassador's cap. Was that the case tonight? That's right, sir. He always leaves an extra cap here so that I can dry it and have it ready for his next visit. Today was especially humid, so I knew he'd want his replacement right away. I put the one he was wearing on the stone bench in the main courtyard. That's the best spot to dry it. Are you aware the ambassador's cap is missing? No, sir. I had no idea. But I'm sure I left it on the stone bench. I always leave it there for drying. Someone's hiding this hat. You mentioned your service for the Liang family in Duji. Just now, the minister and I were debating a finer point concerning that affair. I thought surely if anyone could help us settle the question, it would be you. I hope you can indulge my curiosity. But sir, aren't there more pressing matters to attend to? I'll make it simple for you, Song. Answer me now or face 50 lashes at the tribunal for obstruction of justice. You decide. I'm very sorry, sir. I didn't mean to suggest. No apology needed. Simply answer me this. When faced with ruin and shame, the entire Liang family retreated to their ancestral home and committed ritual suicide. No one was spared except for one. Can you tell me who survived? But they all died. Sure of it. It was common knowledge. Ha! It was indeed common knowledge that the entire family poisoned themselves, but only a select few knew the entire truth. As luck would have it, Minister Wang is such a person. The Liang matriarch knew her husband's suicidal plans and had no choice but to follow his wishes. But she could not bear to see the family's youngest, her 3-year-old granddaughter, suffer the same fate. I don't think you should just tell him that. Madame Liang made sure the girl was spared the lethal dose of the poison that killed the others. But you could not have known that, since, contrary to your false claims, you never worked for the Liangs at all. But, not another word. Your crude and callous retelling of the Liang affair never did sit well with me. How could a man devoted to the same family for so long recount such a tale with such utter lack of sentiment? You're an opportunist, not a very smart man. Like everyone else at the time, you heard the stories about the Liangs, but you decided you could use that knowledge to your advantage. You forged a letter you claim was written by the matriarch and lied your way into your current position. What are you playing at, Song? Come out with it now. It's true that I lied about my past, sir. I won't deny it any longer. I was desperate for a job, and although I worked as a servant before, I knew that I lacked the experience for this position. But I assure you, I had nothing to do with the ambassador's death. The ambassador's cap, I was the one who took it from the stone bench earlier this evening, just after the maidservant brought it out to the courtyard. Explain yourself at once. It was nothing nefarious, sir, I swear. I just needed something to protect myself from Sun Ying. Like you, she somehow found out about my dishonesty. She said she would keep quiet, but warned me that she would one day ask for something in return. I didn't want to take any chances, so I thought that if I could get the masters to distrust her, I could even the odds. So you stole the cap as an insurance policy against your own deceit. I just wanted to hide it long enough to undermine her competence, sir. I was going to return it, I swear. I know how foolish that was now. Please have mercy on this humble servant, sir. Your petty squabbles are of little concern. As you said yourself, there are more pressing matters at hand. Now tell me where you hid the cap. It's in the storage room. I placed it in the locked wooden chest. But in all the commotion, I seem to have lost the only key. That's why I've been sweeping the floors all night, sir. I've been searching all over for it. Well, fuck. Look, I was able to find a piece of it. What do you mean a piece? Well, the chest is a very unique locking mechanism, sir. The key is usually made of 3 discrete pieces. It's an old Han Dynasty relic, but Minister Wang is fond of antiques. I must have dropped them earlier, but I've only managed to recover one of the 3 pieces. I've looked everywhere, sir. The only explanation is that the other 2 pieces must have been picked up by one or more of the people here. Very well, I'll speak to the others about the 2 missing pieces. Did you happen to come across a key that was dropped somewhere at the premises earlier tonight? No, sir. Yes, someone found a key. Let's see if Sun Ying found one or if someone else did. Or there's only one other person, the other guard. Oh, where did Sun Ying go? She's not here. Suspicious. Well, shit. Heavens, no. Clearly suicide, but why? Suspicious. Dead, yet her body's still warm. She was alive only minutes ago. I don't trust this. Mustn't alert the others to Sunny's deck until I have a clearer idea of what happened. I was gonna say the same thing. Don't let anyone know that you know. Just to see if anyone is suspicious. Well, we're gonna open the box while a dead body's in the room. So I'm guessing we're supposed to make that shape. Oh. 6 turns? Here it is, the cab the ambassador was wearing before it was exchanged for the replacement. Let's see if this one has a secret compartment. As I suspected, the secret pocket is sewn into the line. This one also has a small piece of folded paper inside. My beloved Sun Ying. Oh. Though you may despise me for it, my duty to my country compels me to choose against my own heart. These past few weeks by your side have ignited a fire within me that will never die. But now I must return to Korea. It is with great regret that I cannot take you with me. I hope you can someday forgive me. Yours, Choi Young-jun. Yeah, that's making me think, so is it Sun Yi? And she just unalived herself just to... as a way of also confessing. That's almost too convenient, but I guess this is the first case and it's supposed to be a little convenient. At first, what took place here tonight seemed overwhelming. A secret diplomatic mission, a mysterious sleeping gas, a cold-blooded murder, and in the end, an inexplicable suicide. But at the heart of the matter was about the simple connection between two people, Ambassador Choi and Sun Ying. Okay, so this isn't really a detective game. It's more like a visual novel, because we're not actually doing any of the solving. Unbeknownst to to even his bodyguard, the two of them were exchanging letters upon each visit to his compound. To accomplish this, they used the cap exchange. Using the pretense of switching caps for the ambassador, the two of them managed to create a private line of communication. Maybe this will get harder, like later cases. Over the course of the many secret exchanges, an illicit affair grew into a loving bond. I suspect many of the messages exchanged contained directions for each time the pair would meet. All that was needed was an agreed upon time, as the place was surely always the garden grotto. Knowing his guard would stay outside, the ambassador asked his lover to wait patiently inside. But their love story was doomed to fail. After all, how could a high-ranking Korean diplomat return to his homeland with a Chinese servant girl as his mistress? It is a bitter truth, an all too rigid view of love, but the truth the ambassador had come to accept. But Sung Ying had no intention to comply. Instead, she set in motion a cunning plan for one last meeting. If he still refused her, he would pay the ultimate price. But if he chose to be with her instead, they would have simply returned to the house to perform a bit of theater. Everyone in the house would have woken up with a mild headache, but none the wiser. But Ambassador Choi did not have a change of heart, so she carried out her vengeful killing. While his back was turned, with a candle. Already carrying a candlestick, Sun Ying waited until the opportune moment to strike. The ambassador never had a clue. Yun kasi, ang landi-landi kasi. She had managed to fool everyone into thinking that she had fallen unconscious as well, likely using a rag or handkerchief to cover her nose and mouth, so fleeing was not necessary. But like all murderers, she had left the trail without waiting to be uncovered. When she realized that I was close to identifying her, she did what perhaps she had planned all along. She committed suicide too. Joined the ambassador. Is that supposed to be? Oh. Morbid. What took place here tonight was a love affair gone wrong. There were no political machinations at play. No revolutionary plots to unravel. Just a simple tale of passion and rage. Never ceases to amaze me how the human heart can be so frail and yet so hardened at the same time. I am in your debt, young magistrate. Your handling of this case was impeccable. Thank you, sir. I'm happy I could be of service. Then why the long face? By solving this case, you've given this treaty a chance of revival. You've done a great service to me, and more importantly, to His Highness. Thanks to you, diplomatic means are still within reach, as the Koreans can hardly blame us for their own man's weaknesses. You should be proud of his accomplishment, and I will make sure the Emperor knows of your outstanding service. I'm humbled by your kind words, mister, but if I may speak frankly, something about this case, about Sun Ying, still leaves me uneasy. And what might that be? I've yet to put my finger on it, but I have a lingering feeling that something doesn't fit. Nonsense. That woman was a spiteful wench who committed premeditated murder. I see no flaw in your theory. There is no time to second-guess yourself, Dee. If you wish to serve the Empire, there is much work to do. Perhaps you're right. I'm probably just overthinking it. Remember this night, young detective. You now stand at the crossroads to greatness. There's no turning back. Feels a little too convenient. Chapter 1. The Stranger and the Dream. 10 months later. Okay. So So that was just the prologue. Interesting. That's probably going to be important later, whatever happened there. This is very pretty. I've been here before. Some invisible force is pulling the boat forward. Through the fog, I can see the small island with a tower standing in its center. It beckons me. Ooh. Very pretty. A deer. A drum. Ahem. The song. You speak? Flawless deduction, detective. Can you tell me why am I here? The song. You must play the song. I don't understand. What song? Your song. I didn't expect introspection. Oh, the last one is the yin yang symbol. Try that again. Oh, try again. What a fine tune you played, Renji. You know me? It is you that the drum calls. Your song breaks the silence. Who are you? In this place, names are unimportant, except your own. What am I doing here? You are needed. The moment has come for you to show your true self. But time is fading, the wolf is on the move. Calamity is upon the flower and the flesh, the gold and the gate. What calamity? Who is in danger? What can I do? Cross the threshold and protect the lost ones. Break the wolf's spell and save the remaining roses. No, go, speak no more. Go before it is too late. Climb the tower and save her. Please be a puzzle. Please be a puzzle. Please be a puzzle. Huh? What's going on? Is that the queen? Or like the queen, the empress? Wu Zetian? Same dream again. No matter how many times I run up that tower, bloodshed is all that ever comes to it. And what of the talking deer? Speak in riddles. I must not dwell on that now. My new assignment awaits. Before I go, I should add an entry to my journal about that dream. Capital city of Chang'an. I'm fond of the time spent here during my imperial examinations. Father served here as an imperial counselor for some years, and despite all that, the city never quite felt like home. A promotion as the magistrate of such important region will come with a lot of responsibility. I hope I can live up to my father's good name. Late spring 689, I solved my first major case in Penglai. At first confounded, I needed to peel away the onion's many layers to find its center, a simple story. A prideful man murdered by a scorned lover. Yet again, I'm reminded of the fragility of the human heart. But it seems the minister took notice of my work. He spoke of how I would gain favor with the emperor, now that I had resurrected the border treaty. He even spoke of greatness in me. A silly notion, I thought. I had only done my job, and perhaps, had I done it better, Sun Ying would still be alive. She remains in my thoughts, ever mysterious. Midsummer 689. The Emperor is dead! It is the saddest of days. News from the capital arrived this morning. A mysterious illness said to be caused by lingering health issues took hold and never let go. Now, with the outcome of the Korean treaty on hold, his legacy will surely suffer. Generations in my family have served the Emperor and his forebears. His royal mandate woven into my own sense of purpose. It is a time of deep reflection, a time of mourning. Late summer 689. I've begun having a very peculiar recurring dream. In it, I find myself on a small boat gliding across the water as if pulled by an invisible force. It eventually brings me to a tiny island populated only by a strange talking deer and a shadowy figure standing atop a great temple. But just as I manage to convince the creature to allow me passage up the tower, I sense a grave danger looming over me. What happens next is unclear. But one thing is certain. No matter how hard I try, I fail to overcome the sinister threat. The Emperor's still grieving wife, Consort Wu, has now broken with the tradition and proclaimed herself Empress, the rightful ruler of China. There are rumors of her brutal tactics never berating across the imperial echo chamber, stories of ruthless reprisals and a secret police force used to silence her opposition. But what am I to believe? Was her rise to power illegitimate, or are these aspersions Nothing more than exaggerated hearsay spread by envious detractors. No doubt a woman reigning over the empire for the first time will vex the establishment, but the imperial court must survive this turmoil. We must come together for the good of the realm. 10 months have passed since the Korean ambassador's murder. 8 have gone by since the death of Emperor Gaozhong. 8 have gone. Oh, 8 months. And another 2 have elapsed since Wu Zetian rose to power. Yet today I received a letter from the Ministry of Justice declaring that I am to become the new investigating magistrate of Chang'an, and I am required to appear at the capital without delay. It seems the Empress wants to meet me. I think I want to meet her too. I don't like how you said it like that. I arrived at Chang'an last night and I made my way to the Justice Department where I am to stay. A young lieutenant showed me to my new living quarters, but my first night here is marred by the same cryptic dream. I woke with a sense of dread and restlessness. I feel I can ignore it no longer. But what can I do? They're probably supposed to stop, like, the assassination of the Empress. That's true, I guess. That's a travel trunk? It's a huge trunk to travel with. Pretty. I like that. The way that they did that. Felt very cinematic. Exit to map. Hammer. Justice Department. Ooh. Oh, who's that? We found and captured the rebels responsible for the attack on the royal temple. Good. By attacking the sacred temple, they are trying to undermine the symbol of my heavenly mandate. No quarter is to be given to these agitators. Do you think General Zhang may have something to do with the recent disturbances? Zhang is a hard-line traditionalist whose opposition against me is clear as a stake in a barren field. But I know how to catch snakes like him. Where is Di Renji? He's here, Your Majesty, waiting in the antechamber. Are you sure he can be trusted? That is what I intend to find out. Bring him in. Welcome, Di Renji. I have been looking forward to meeting you. This humble servant is honored by Your Majesty's reception. I trust you had a chance to rest last night. I understand you left Penglai 3 days ago to undertake the long journey to the capital. Yes, but the road was kind to us. My caravan arrived at the Justice Department just after nightfall. I had sufficient time to settle in for a night's rest. Good. The winds of change are blowing. There is no time to waste. Tell me, Magistrate D, do you know why I called for you at this particular moment? I'm not sure I follow. I thought perhaps you may be wondering why it took so long for your promotion to the capital to be confirmed. After all, that was my husband's wish before his untimely death. When he heard of how you solved the Korean ambassador's murder and rescued his border treaty, he made it very clear he wanted you to serve by his side. If he were here with us today, he would have reassigned to Chang'an. He would have been reassigned to Chang'an long ago. I humbly served the imperial court where I am needed, Your Majesty. I mourned Emperor Gaozhong's death. It is not in my nature to question my position or rank. It is a rare thing to witness true modesty. The truth is my transition to power was not without some interference. The same kind of meddling and disapproval I've encountered all my life. But I will not tolerate folly for the sake of facile traditionalism. I hope I can count on your loyalty just as my husband. My loyalty is to the law, and I will serve it to the best of my ability, so long as your majesty permits it. I see. And what if the law is unjust? Hmm. The law is unjust. Huh? Unjust men create unjust law. In the face of injustice, I believe we must stand up to it. Indeed. Men can be fools, misguided by power and greed. Such vipers are around every corner. In fact, the man that you are replacing, a man whose name deserves no mention in these hallowed halls, was such an offender. A horrid man who routinely abused his power. His worst sin of all was that of incompetence. But enough about the past. You are here because I need someone to succeed where he failed. D. Renji, I hereby name you the new investigating magistrate of Chang'an. What say you? It will be my privilege to serve the people of Chang'an in the name of the Dragon Throne. Then it is done. Rise now as my chief agent of justice. You are now the guardian of Chang'an, the jewel of China, finest city in the world. But I'm afraid not all is right in our shining capital. I fear a sickness of doubt and fear is spreading across our streets and homes. The hearts and minds of men are fragile. As the first woman to hold the mandate of heaven, I cannot allow my reign to be crippled by this infection. I must show the naysayers that I can be as strong as any man, even if I must rule with an iron fist. This sickness must be stamped out. Law and order must be swift and unyielding. We must exercise caution, Your Majesty, as I believe it is the root of cause of a sickness that must be treated, not the symptoms. How pragmatic of you, Magistrate. I suspect even my husband may have underestimated your gift for counsel. Your notions of virtue and balance are sobering, but we are nonetheless responsible for cleaning the streets of the miscreants who would dare undermine our empire. And that is exactly what you shall do. I am at your Majesty's command. Before I relieved him of his duties, your predecessor was working on a case that, shall we say, overwhelmed his limited intellect. A young woman by the name of Xu Lin Fei was viciously murdered in her own home 9 days ago. A short inquiry ended with the poor woman's blind father detained and charged for the crime. But I sense a grave injustice is being done. Your immediate task is to reopen the investigation and find out the truth behind this heinous crime. And if what you do discover should exonerate her father, I would like you to report back to me directly. Yes, of course. Your first lieutenant at the Justice Department can appraise you of further details. You may ask me any questions you like. I wish to offer my condolences for the passing of Emperor Gaozhong. Although I never had the privilege of meeting him, I was an admirer of his reforms. Your sentiment is appreciated, Magistrate. My husband was indeed a great man. He led our country onto the world stage, and now it is up to us to fulfill that destiny. Now is the time to look to the future. Does your Majesty have a special interest in this case? Surely only weeks after your enthronement ceremony, police matters are the least of your concerns. On the contrary, there is no greater threat to the Empire than the spread of fear and hatred from within. Without law and order, this house of cards is but a tremor away from crumbling. Smart. Whatever the cost, I will see to it that those seeking to disturb the peace shall never find any of their own. What can you tell me about the victim? Xu Lin Fei met a terrible, horrible end. At first strangled to death, her misery did not stop there. After taking her life, the murderer went on to mutilate her, carving out her heart and taking it from her lifeless body. This is very gruesome. I ask you, what manner of barbarism is that? Such hatred would suggest the killer may have known the victim. Perhaps someone close, someone seeking revenge. Whatever the motive, I want to see this wretched killer captured and punished for what he has done. I will not stand for such depravity. The whole of the country watches my every move. I will not have my mandate tarnished by a deviant. What can you tell me about the accused? Your predecessor believed that the victim's father, Xu Dan, came to resent his daughter for abandoning him for several years. She eventually returned, but by then his heart had soured and filled with hate, igniting his violent outburst. But your Majesty does not believe this theory? Not for a second. Setting aside the fact that his father is an old blind man, only a fool could theorize that a woman so obviously devoted to her father could deserve such retribution. Even all those years away from his side, she made sure to send money for his care. Besides, your predecessor would have sooner forced a square peg into a round hole than do any real police work. I've told you everything I know. As for what is still unknown, I expect you to uncover it and return the favor. You may ask the Commander Yao if you need any additional assistance. She is my most trusted officer. Thank you, Your Majesty. I just have a hammer. This is very pretty. Yao Mei. I didn't get a chance to introduce myself before. My name is Di Renji. I know who you are. Yes, of course. You must be the head of Her Majesty's security force. Oops. I meant no offense. I see it in your posture. You carry yourself with the poise of a highly skilled martial artist. I dabbled in the martial arts myself when I was young, though I discovered early that I had no gift for it. But you, on the other hand, must be a very talented and brave warrior. Why else would the Empress put you in charge of her personal safety? I suggest you tread carefully, Li Renji. Her Majesty wishes to give you an opportunity to show your allegiance, but I'm the one who will have to face if that trust is betrayed. I applaud your diligence, Commander Yao, but my intentions are pure. I'll be the judge of that. What do you want? Tell me about yourself. I have no time for small talk. If you wish to know more about me, I suggest you seek out the answers for yourself, Detective. What can you tell me about the Empress? Her Majesty is a strong and fearless leader. What she has endured and overcome is a shining example for all of us. But I would think a detective of your stature could easily detect such qualities. Do you know anything about the Shu Lin Fei case? Only that the man who did it deserves to die 1,000 deaths. The man? You believe the father is guilty? No, that is not what I said. I simply meant that I've never known a woman capable of such brutality. Have you? No, I can't say that I have. Listen carefully, Li Renji. I do not trust you. I have no reason to trust you. I do not know you, and from my perspective, nor does the Empress. What you do from this moment forward will signal to me whether you are truly a trustworthy ally or an adversary to be dealt with. Your fierce loyalty is commendable, Commander Yao. With time, I do hope I can gain your trust. Magistrate D, you're back? I'm your first lieutenant, Ma Dawei. We spoke briefly last night, but when you arrived. I take you just returned for your visit from the Empress? How did it go? Meetings like that make me so nervous. I just start babbling, you know. One moment I'm all quiet, and the next I'm going on and on. Heaven knows about what. Oh, I'm doing it right now, aren't I? No, shut up now, sir. You don't have to be nervous around me, Ma. I was at ease at Her Majesty's presence. In fact, the meeting was very productive. It seems we have a lot of work ahead of us. Certainly, sir. Here to help in any way I can. Good. Let's begin with the Shu Lin Fei case. I need to know all the details and see the evidence collected so far. Ah, yes, of course. I was hoping we could get another crack at that case, sir, but I'm afraid there isn't much to look at, sir. Everything we have inside is inside that evidence box. I've laid it out on the desk behind me. It's a shame, really. But Magistrate Liu, he wasn't one for paperwork. Liu? Do you mean Liu Zelin? He was the previous magistrate. That's right, sir. You know him? Yes, he was a classmate during my time at the Imperial Academy. Sadly, he was the kind of person who enjoyed preying on the less privileged, a bully through and through. But owing to his father's position as a powerful minister, Zelin's misconduct was routinely ignored. Worse still, he was even granted a few shortcuts along the way. But that was many years ago. I haven't seen him since then. I hate to speak out of turn, but I feel I must. You see, I believe Magistrate Liu was wrong to accuse the victim's father. I believe Zhu Dan is innocent. You need not worry about speaking your mind. Why do you think he is innocent? Well, it's the way she was killed. Almost seems wicked. Like an evil soul out for blood. Even from my limited contact with him, I just don't think Zhu Dan is capable of that. In that case, you'll be relieved to hear that the Empress herself has requested that we reopen the investigation. Really? That's great news, sir. Say the word and I'm at your disposal. Whatever you need. Tell me about yourself, Lieutenant Ma. Everyone calls me Lucky Ma around here, sir. The nickname stuck after I won a few card games with the fellows around the office. In any case, I've been at this station for 2 years now. Before that, I was police constable in my hometown of Shanwei, in the Liangnan province. For most of my life, I lived in a small fishing village, so when my transfer request was approved, I was promoted to work here at the capital. It was a dream come true. Your family must have been proud. Yes, my parents were very happy, and my wife, you should have seen her, sir. When I told her we would be living in Chang'an, she nearly shattered my eardrums from sheer excitement. Tell me more about the crime. Of course, what would you like to know? The victim, Shu Linfei, what can you tell me about her? We know that she was 21 years old, but not much else. She was a complete loner, had no ties to anyone or anything except her father. Even her neighbors knew nothing about her, save for the fact that she kept to herself. Did her father have anything to add? He maintains that since her return 2 months ago, she's been his sole caregiver, spending most of her days at home. He also said that several times a week she would visit temples here in the city. That gave me the idea to visit a few of them to ask about her. But the monks who remembered her all said the same thing. She would pray for hours at a time, often mumbling words that no one else could hear or understand. You said she returned 2 months ago. Where was she before that? All we know is that for 5 years she worked as a maidservant for a wealthy family living outside of the city. During that time, she sent money back to her father through a messenger, but she never visited him herself. We're holding him in the lockup if you would like to interrogate him. What can you tell me about the victim's father, Shu Dan? Shu Dan served as in the Imperial Army for many years until his wife died in fire. That same incident cost him his eyesight, but despite that, he managed to take care of his young daughter for many years. But as he grew older and weaker, he became the one who needed care. Why did Liu accuse him? Magistrate Liu believed that Shu Dan felt betrayed when his daughter went away. He alleged that Shu Dan had gone mad and killed her in a fit of rage. Did Shu Dan confess? No, sir. The very opposite, in fact. He strongly denies any wrongdoing. What was the cause of death? Strangulation, sir, but she was also mutilated posthumously. The killer cut her open and took her heart. It turns my stomach just thinking about it. You'll want to speak to the coroner, Mr. Gao. He'll be able to tell more about it. What's in the evidence box? We collected 3 pieces of evidence from the crime scene. The first is a broken walking stick which belongs to the father. The second is a rose we found next to the victim's body, clearly left by the killer by the looks of it. And the third is a life-size sketch I made of the bloody footprint we found inside the house. A sketch? Yes, sir. I've always had an affinity for drawing, so I've tried to put it to good use from time to time. My wife even thinks I could have made a life as a painter, though I'm pretty sure she's just teasing. Who reported the crime? A night watchman was making his rounds in the neighborhood when he saw Sudan running out of his house in a mad panic. Sudan was calling out for help and screaming his daughter's name all at once. After the watchman peered into the house and saw the carnage that had been done, he came directly here to report the crime. I gather you must have worked for Liu Zhelin for a period. What can you tell me about him? I suppose. No need to be timid, Lieutenant. It is not gossip that I am after. I'm only interested in how he performed his duties as an officer of the court. Well, to put it bluntly, Magistrate Liu did not seem to care much about his duties at all, sir. He seemed more interested in his reputation than maintaining law and order. Most of the time he delegated his work to his subordinates, although I doubt he even knew any of us by name. I shudder to think of the misery he's left in his wake. Hopefully, if Sudan is innocent, he can at least right one of his wrongs. Yes, sir. Tell me about the Justice Department. Of course, sir. This Justice Department is the beating heart of all law and order in Chang'an. Since the Empress's enthronement, we have officers patrolling the city at all times. Even the night watchmen report to us. This compound itself serves many purposes, but the East Wing, where we currently are, is home to the investigative branch. Directly behind you is the way towards the lockup, and behind me is a hallway that leads to the morgue. Oh, I almost forgot. I hope you found your private quarters to your liking. I asked my wife to help me make it as cozy as possible for you. I'm terrible at that kind of thing. Indeed, the room is quite lovely. Please say thank you to your wife for it. I marked the victim's house on your map, but you probably want to speak to Sudan and Coroner Yao before you head out there. I think I have what I need for now. Thank you, Lieutenant. I am at your disposal, sir. Excuse me? Blast these tiny jewels, I lost count again. I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. I've been trying to do an inventory of the equipment down here all morning. I've been failing miserably at it. Why in the world do we have so many knives? He must be the coroner. Wanted to introduce myself. My name is D. Renji. Ah, our new chief investigator. Just a young man, aren't you? I suppose if that idiot Lou could do the job, he could just about send any half-wit to run this place and nobody would notice the difference. I can see you're nobody's fool, but should you give me the opportunity, I may yet surprise you. You have a little spark in you, don't you? And you have earnest eyes, the look of a man with purpose. I suppose 30 years of staring at the dead has taught me that much, and I look forward to learning from your experience. Well then, welcome to my office, Magistrate D. I am Yao Qinan. Qinan? I forgot if oh yeah. Q is Qinan. The youngsters like to call me Old Yao. Stupid kids and their nicknames. I was hoping I could speak to you about the Shu Lin Fei case. That poor girl. She's been moved for burial, so you won't find her here, but in all my years doing this job, I never saw anything like it. I've been instructed to reopen the investigation. May I ask for you a few questions? Well, you're the boss, aren't you? Ask away. Tell me about yourself, Mr. Yao. I wish there was something to tell. I'm afraid my life isn't much more interesting than that of the patients I examine. But I suppose that's my own fault. Push away your loved ones long enough and you end up bitter and alone. Or in my case, withering away in the company of decomposing corpses. Surely a lifetime in service of the Imperial Court must bring you some satisfaction. It's precisely because of my choice to put duty above family that my own daughter now wants nothing to do with me. When her mother passed away a few years ago, I buried myself in my work thinking I could stuff my sorrows into the ground. I neglected the needs of my grieving daughter, and now, even as she makes her own path in the world, she can barely stand the sight of me. Don't make the same mistakes I did, young magistrate. Hold on to those you cherish. Let them know what they mean to you before it is too late. It's not too late for you to make amends. Speak to your daughter. She will listen. I wish I could be so naive as to believe that, but my time has passed. No matter. At least down here I can still perhaps make a difference. Can you tell me about the victim's wounds and the cause of death? The cause of death was asphyxia by strangulation. Deep ligature marks around her neck suggest that the killer stood behind and slightly above her. No murder weapon was found at the scene, but if I were to venture a guess, I'd say the killer likely used a long piece of cloth to strangle her. The victim was also had a large laceration on the left side of her chest. Further examination revealed that her heart was surgically removed shortly after she died. Although I won't go as far as saying that this killer possessed the skills of a surgeon, I'm certain we are dealing with someone with a cold and steady hand. Someone who knew what they were doing. Why do you think that the killer took her heart? Hard to say. Perhaps he wanted a souvenir, or maybe she thought she was heartless and didn't deserve one. Possibly just because he's a deranged psychopath. We may never know why he did it. But based on the depth of the abrasions on her neck, I'd wager good money our killer's a man. Was the victim violated sexually? No, I found no evidence of sexual assault. In fact, she had no other bruises or injuries at all, which I found odd. What do you mean by that? Well, usually in cases of strangulation, we often find some signs of a struggle between the victim and the assailant. Such signs of traces of skin under the fingernails or bruises caused by resistance from the victim. But from what I can tell, Julian Fay did not fight back. From your previous comments, I take it you and Magistrate Liu did not get along? 30 years I've worked at the Justice Department. Magistrates come and go. I've seen them all. Some were born enforcers, others born negotiators. A rare few had the gift of detection, while others preferred the path of least resistance. Liu Zhelian was in a category of his own, a corrupt yet inept man willing to do anything to advance his career. All of us here knew it, but none of us could prove it. What do you think he was guilty of? Abuse of power, coercion, blackmail, you name it, but someone more powerful than him finally took notice, and now he's history. We can thank the Empress for that. Who goes there? Is that you, Liu? You'll not break me with your threats and beatings. I will never admit to killing my own daughter. Never! You hear me? Calm yourself, Sudan. I am Magistrate D. Renji. D. Renji? What happened to Liu? Mr. Liu Zhelian has been relieved of his duties. I am in charge now. Ha! So they replaced one crooked official with another. I'm not your enemy, Mr. Shu. Whatever you may think of my predecessor, I'm here to find out the truth about your daughter's murder. You mean, you will investigate her case? Yes, Mr. Shu, and though I do not yet know your involvement in this case, I can promise you this. If you are indeed innocent, you will not sit in jail a day longer than necessary. I'm sorry for what I said before. That man, Liu, he accused me of killing my own daughter. Despite everything that's happened in my life, I've never felt anger at my own fate. But what was done to Lin Fei burns me up inside, knowing that man who hurt her is still out there. You have to help me, Magistrate D. My daughter deserves justice. I was a patriot once, not unlike you, I imagine. I fought and sacrificed for my country, gave my youth to protect it on the battlefield. No, but I'm a decrepit old man, disposable in the eyes of men like Liu Zhelian. You were in the army? I was an Imperial soldier in the Tiger Regiment, until the accident changed everything. Tell me what happened. For the first time in a long time, I was home. They gave me a short break between tours of duty, and I was glad to be back with my wife and daughter. That morning, I had taken Lin Fei for a walk in the park. She was only 5 years old. The sky was blue and pure. I remember looking up the heavens, thankful and content. Out of nowhere, blackness billowed in the air. I do not know how the fire started. All I know is that by the time we had made our way back, the flames had already engulfed the entire house. But I was fearless back then. I ran inside, hoping to save my wife. But the gods were angry that day. They spared my life, but took my wife. My eyes. Now I look upon the sky, no longer. And your daughter? She witnessed this? We've never spoken about that day. Deep down, I've always hoped that she was too young to remember. Sometimes I could hear it in her voice, the horror of the flames and the ashes. Tell me more about your daughter. After her mother died, I tried my best to take care of her. Managed for a while. The Imperial Army kept me around, gave me odd jobs here and there, but eventually they decided they had no use for a blind soldier anymore. But even as a teenager, Lin Fei was headstrong and rebellious. She stormed into the Imperial Army base demanding an explanation for my discharge. I had to plead with my superiors to spare her at any punishment. I told her we needed to accept our fate, but in that moment I could feel something in her change. How did you carry on? For a year we scrambled to get by. Those were difficult times. Then one day she came home with some money. She said it was an abundant advance from a family she had met. She said they offered her a job as a maidservant and wanted her to move into their house in the countryside. She was only 16. I didn't want her to go, but she had made up her mind. Do you know who she worked for? No, she didn't say. She said they were very rich and didn't want people to know where they lived. Every month she would have someone deliver some money to her. Went on like that for almost 5 years. Then she came back. Yes, almost 2 months ago now. I remember it well because everyone was talking about Concert Wu's rise to the throne. But all I could think about was my daughter's return. She gave me no warning or explanation, but I didn't care. I was just happy to have her back. You said she changed you after you lost your military post. How so? She was always a strong and confident girl. Even during quieter moments I could sense her calming presence. But then she became distant. Her silence had a different sound to it, if you know what I mean. She was no longer at peace. 5 years is a long time. Did she seem different after her return? You have to understand, Magistrate D. She was away for almost 5 years. But to answer your question, yes, she was different. She was even stronger than I ever thought possible. Did she have any friends? No, Lin Fei always preferred to be alone. I think what happened to her mother. She chose the safety of her loneliness over the prospect of loss and pain. Take me back to the night of the murder. What can you remember? I remember it perfectly well. Earlier that evening, I decided to go to the waterfront to take some tea on the boardwalk. It's usually quiet at dusk, so I stay to enjoy the sunset. People ask me how can a blind man can appreciate such a thing. I tell them it's the heat. I can feel the sun's embrace slowly shift on my skin. Once the warmth is gone, I know it is time to leave. But something strange happened that day. I reached out for my walking stick, which I had placed on the table in front of me, but it wasn't there. I searched for it, even asked the tea house staff for help, but it was gone. You certain you had it with you? Of course. Without it, I lose my way. I had to convince one of the waiters to escort me home. A nice young man with a kind voice. He said he could help me, but only after he finished his shift. So I waited. About an hour later, he came back and did as he promised. So the waiter took you home. Did he go inside the house? No, we parted ways outside. I entered the house alone. But the silence inside bothered me immediately. As I approached the middle of the room, I could feel a wet surface under my feet. I was standing in my daughter's blood. I fell to my knees and extended my arms, reaching out to her. My heart sank when I felt her cold body. Perfect timing, Chad. Hi, how are you doing? I cradled her in my arms. I vaguely remember calling out for help. I don't know. The rest is hazy. Your daughter's murder was senseless and deeply unsettling. Heaven willing, justice will be done. You have a kind voice, Magistrate D. Much like the young man who helped me get home that evening. Like him, I hope you will keep your word. Okay. How's it going, Chad? Okay. Can we go to the place? Okay. This is one of Chang'an's poorer neighborhoods. The people who live here usually traders and artisans. There's a large pot of water, collected last evening's rain rather effectively. Soft dirt in this yard makes it easy to leave impressions on its surface. From this vantage point, I can see a large part of the interior of the house. Murders on the Yangtze? Oh, I think I put that in my wish list, or did I remove it? Because I was cleaning up my wish list the other day. Murders on the Yangtze River, is that it? Yeah, I added this once. And then I removed it because I have too many games that are like Ace Attorney. Did you play that? Should I add it back to my wish list? Oh no, don't say that it feels like Ace Attorney Investigations. Now I have to put it back. Now I think I'm gonna like it. Now that you mention it that way. This feels. Actually, I was saying earlier that this feels less like a deduction game and more of like just a regular point and click with like where you just experience the story, because you don't necessarily deduce or like solve anything. Ooh, it's also historical. Ooh, well, this one apparently is historical as well. I didn't expect it to be set during the time of Wu Zetian. I keep saying weirdly. Like I feel like because I've been reading a lot today, well, this stream, I feel like I can't read anymore. That's a tiny bed. Where does Min Fei sleep? What's wrong? Ooh. Actually, Chad. Yangtze is more modern, set around 1900. Yeah, it looks like it, and it looks like it has this like a 20th century vibe. So this one is set in 689 AD. It's funny that it just says 689 though. So that must mean it's 689 in the calendar that you're using, but I don't know what calendar they're using. Speaking of historical detective, I was playing this demo during the Steam Next Fest demo, and I think you might want to play it. But I need to remember what it was called. I just have to look at my wish list. I probably put it here. Mysteries of Old Tokyo. So it's like a detective game, but it's also supernatural. Like you find like ghosts and then you solve you solve how they died. But at the same time you're also going around Tokyo and looking at you're cuz they died like decades before. So you're like trying to compare what it looks like now versus what it looks like during the time when the person died. So you're comparing those information, and then the whole interface is like a computer. Even though you're talking to like people and stuff, the interface is just like a computer, like a Windows XP, maybe even Windows 95 computer. And I tried the demo and it was so fun. Like I had to stop myself from playing. I only did one case and then I was like, no, I should stop playing because like I just want to play the whole thing now. And I like it because it feels like it's a supernatural mystery, but it's also um like real world information. Like it actually uses the actual um like the case that you solve at the beginning deals with like the train stations. So I was like, this feels so familiar. I remember this. You're like, that's default text animation for DaVinci. I like that you're. Well, it does seem like I don't know. I can. It seems like there's only a handful of people worked on this, so I'm not surprised if their trailer is very simple. But the concept of it is really nice. Oh, you use DaVinci as well? Oh. I've been using Vegas Pro. I've been using 15 since I bought it like I don't know. I don't know when I bought this. But it's still usable. Like I don't need anything crazy. But yeah, I feel like you would like that game, so I shared it to you. It was very fun to play as well. It was so weird as well because like you're just playing like with the dialogue just happens in the like computer, right? When it kind of gets creepy because since you're like talking to ghosts, right? Kind of gets a creepy vibe as well. She just sleeps on the floor. Hello. A straw mat on the floor. The blood is dried, but the large crucible stain was left. This is where the murder took place. Examine the bloodstains. As expected, the posthumous removal of the victim's heart caused profuse bleeding, but there is no discernible pattern to any of it. Dining chair in the middle of the room. This chair must have been placed here for a purpose. Coroner Yao said that the killer was likely standing above or behind Xu Linfei when she was strangled. Perhaps the killer forced her to sit here before he strangled her, but why would she cooperate? Looks like it would be a good mechanic. Oh, that's true. Like you're investigating like SCP stuff. That's a nice idea. I think in Mysteries of Old Tokyo, it's like you're like comparing information with what the ghost says and trying to convince the ghost that their information is false so that they realize that they're dead. So it's a very interesting way of doing like investigation style. At first, I think everyone who had Windows probably did Windows Movie Maker, let's be honest. We edited all those photos together on the slideshow, and then a relative would tell us to make one for a birthday or something. You know, it always starts out that way. Was this a small fragment of wood under the chair? Dining chair is placed next to the bed, but why? Did the killer use it while he was waiting for her? According to the scene, the killer somehow managed to draw Shu Lin Fei into the house and onto that center chair. It also appears as though he sat on the chair next to the bed while waiting for her arrival, no doubt further hinting at the threat he posed to her father. But why are there no signs of a struggle? Why didn't she run or fight back? I will say the cases seem very interesting, even though we don't necessarily solve anything. You were 11 years old. Oh, I was probably the same as well. Because I remember doing it during grade school. Editing shit. Feeling like I was the shit. Well, I'm still the shit, so. AMV Movie Maker? Nice. Is there anything else? It's an old outline of dust created by the cabinet. Someone must have recently moved it from its original position. A small fragment of wood. A splinter? The time is near. Slaves will lose heart. The wolf signifies fear and flesh torn apart. Is this letter meant to be a warning? Does he plan to do more killing? And what are these two strange symbols in the corners? If someone egged you on, you'd probably do it. Okay, I think I found everything. Thank God they added that feature. That's why I added that to Weekend Trip as well, so that no one gets lost. I'll only remove that feature if it's part of the gameplay to actually look around. Okay. I wonder if we can show things to people. Can we show it to Lieutenant Ma? I can't see that. That will help. No, I don't think that's a good idea. Okay, maybe we can not really show, but tell the dad about it. Or can we ask him about it? Okay. I will say the game is very straightforward, so it's just about trying to see what the game wants you to do at this moment. At each moment. What was that? A chisel. So we can't take the chisel. That's fine. Oh, can we compare the wood to the walking stick? It's a perfect fit. This fragment of wood must have splintered off when the walking stick was broken. That means the walking stick was broken in the house at the time of the murder. So someone took... So while the killer did not have to use force to make Shu Lin Fei sit down, because he had in his possession the one thing that could have compelled her to obey her father's walk. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Someone took the walking stick and then broke it and then showed it to Lin Fei to be like, I got your dad, even though the dad was just sitting in the tea place sitting by the sunset. The killer was sending a message. If he was capable of taking such an item from right under Shu Dan's nose, he was capable of inflicting injury and pain at any moment. He reinforced that point by breaking the stick in front of Shu Lin Fei, but doing so caused a fragment of splinter off. Coerced into submission, Shu Lin Fei bravely did what she thought was the only way to protect her father: sacrifice herself. So okay. Renji saying that she, like, she let herself be killed. That's why there were no like cuts or bruises of her fighting back. I want to compare it to his shoe. Okay, maybe there's more that I missed. Oh, footprints. I didn't even see that. That's why we use that feature. Let's compare the footprints. It's a match. These footprints are almost identical in shape to the size to the footprint sketch drawn by Lieutenant Ma. The killer must have spied on Shu Lin Fei and her father from this spot to study their movements and routines. Okay. So 2 more evidence. We've solved this! Where's their bathroom? Who's that? Xiaoba. There's a young boy hiding behind the fence. You there? What are you doing? That was kind of creepy. The way I walked in and then walked out, and then there's just this guy there. Me? Nothing, sir. I was just passing by. Don't lie to me, boy. You weren't just passing by. Were you spying on me? Do you know anything about what happened here? I don't know anything, I swear. I just live around the corner over there. I was just playing out here. Is that so? And what were you playing? Oh, I was just. I can see that you're nervous, but there is no need to be afraid. Answer my questions and you can be on your way. I can't talk to you. I might get in trouble. Trouble? What kind of trouble? The policeman. He said I'm not allowed to talk to anyone except him. I'm a policeman. You can talk to me. But Mr. Liu said I'm not allowed to talk to anyone, even other policemen, or I lose my medallion for good. I've already said too much. Please don't tell him what I said. Liu? Was his name Liu Zhelin? That's right. You know him too? I'm beginning to think everyone knows him. Tell me, what did he say to you? I can't tell you or I lose my medallion. I'm the new policeman in charge now. You have nothing to fear. So you have my medallion? Can I please have it back? Why don't you tell me everything? Talk and I'll give it back to you. You're trying to trick me. If you had my medallion, why didn't you say anything before? Clever boy. How about we make a deal? If I can find your medallion and return it to you, you will answer all my questions truthfully. I... You're not trying to trick me now, are you? Mr. Yu tricked me when he said he wanted to see my medallion, and then wouldn't let me have it back. No, no tricks. That's a promise. Guess that would be alright. It's a deal then. You wait for me here while I look for your medallion. I'm D. Renji. What's your name, son? I'm Xiao Bao. Alright, Xiao Bao. Can you tell me what the medallion looks like? It's a round silver medallion. It has a rooster engraved on one side. My father gave it to me. It's been in our family for generations. I have to get it back. Don't worry, I'll find it for you. And I'll be back to talk with you when I do. Yu Zhelin, what are you up to? I had the same sentiment. Perhaps someone at the Justice Department might know more about this. Why is this guy being bitchy about to a child? Also, why is the sign for the Justice Department inside the Justice Department instead of outside? Well, there's probably one outside, but why is there a sign inside as well? Do you know anything about medallion belonged to a young boy named Xiao Bao? I believe it was confiscated illegally by Magistrate Yu. Not the Jackie Chan adventures. Maybe a reference to that. A medallion? No, I'm not aware of anything like that. I did hear a rumor once that Magistrate Yu may have conducted illegal seizures and used personal belongings as leverage for blackmail. On children? But those are just stories around the office. No one ever saw him do these things. Fuck me. Where would he fucking hide it then? Probably in the... Right. Unless he stayed in a different room and not the room where I am. Okay, I'll just keep asking people until someone tells me where this fucking medallion is. Maybe the coroner knows? Do you know anything about Madame Lalaro? How should I know? I said before. Maybe surprise me in corruption rooms. Okay, that's any help. Hi Ivan, how are you doing? Yeah, this game does look very cool. I really like the art. And I like how the sprites look against backgrounds. Well, it depends on how detailed you want the pixel art. And the 3D games also depends on how detailed you want the 3D games to be. They're all 2D, just what do you call that? Planted on the 3D models anyways, so you still have to draw something. So maybe it's in the house. Probably in the house. It's not here. Unless he kept it somewhere else. Oh. Isn't that the same bluebird from this morning? There he goes again. What if... what do we have here? I can't pull the brick out without loosening it first. I have a hammer. Okay, apparently smashing the brick. Oh, maybe we can ask the coroner now. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Can I just get it and then tell him? Actually, I do have a good reason to borrow the chisel. Needed to loosen the mortar surrounding a suspicious brick I found in the wall. You want to use a magical chisel on the wall to loosen up a suspicious brick? You know, if you're just going to make up whatever nonsense pops into your head, you should at least try to make it sound credible. Ah, just take it. I'm too old for this rubbish. Okay. Seems the others were right about Liu's Jalin. He was indeed up to no good. Secret stash is full of blackmail material taken from some of the most powerful people in the city. Most of it looks like incriminating evidence of some sort. Liu must have been collecting all this in order to extort his chosen targets. No one ever thought of, like, moving this plant? With any luck, yes. There's Xiao Bao's medallion. What does it look like? Oh, we can't look at zoomed in. He's really just standing there. My medallion, you found it. Oh. Oh, okay. Thank you, Officer D. A promise is a promise now. Xiao Bao, can you tell me what Liu's Jillian wanted from you? Well, after he took my medallion, he told me I had to keep watch of the neighborhood for him, or else he wouldn't return it. He said there are criminals everywhere and I had to spy on them, but I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone about it. Did he tell you why you had to do that? He said he wanted me to help him catch people doing bad things. He said this area was known for its gangsters and ruffians and that he needed someone like me to keep an eye on them. He came to see me every week to ask me about what I saw or heard, but every time he refused to give me back my medallion. I see. He was using you as an informant? Did he ask you to spy on Shu Lin Fei? No, he had never asked me to do that. I did that on my own. On your own? Fei Fei was a friend. I was worried about her. How well did you know her? We became friends not long after she moved here. She was kind to me. She used to buy steamed buns from the market, the fresh kind, you know. She would share some with me all the time. At first I said couldn't accept them, but because I didn't have any money, but she said it was a gift. She even liked my little statuettes. It's a hobby of mine. I carved them out of small pieces of wood. She was the only one who ever liked them. But Fei Fei was all alone, and she had to take care of her father, so I tried to help. How'd you help? I came over all the time to watch over her at the house. I wanted to protect her, make sure she was safe. So you were here on the night she was killed? I'm useless. I wanted to guard her from danger, and now she's dead. It's not too late to help your friend. If you witnessed something, now is the time to speak up. Tell me what you saw on the night of the murder. I was coming over to visit Fei Fei and wanted to show her my new wooden statuette. But when I arrived, I saw someone walking out of the house. I was hiding there by the fence like I always do, but it was too dark. I couldn't see who it was. As he passed by, I thought of the evil spirit from my nightmares. I was too afraid to do anything. I just ran away. It was only later that I found out that Fei Fei was murdered. He was right there. The killer was right there, and I did nothing. I should have done something. Can you describe the stranger? It was dark. I couldn't see his face, but he was tall and moved very fast, almost as if he was gliding. Did you see what he was wearing? It was black all over, like some sort of shadow. It didn't even seem to have any legs. Was Shu Dan the stranger? Mr. Shu? No. The person I saw was tall and fast. Mr. Shu can barely walk without a stick. Couldn't have been him. Besides, Mr. Shu loved Fei Fei. He'd been so happy to see her since her return. He would never hurt her. Don't blame yourself for what happened, Xiao Bao. Take solace in the fact that your testimony will help free Shu Dan. Were you spying on me earlier? I wasn't spying on you, sir. I've been coming here every day since Fei Fei died. I guess I just wanted to say goodbye. When Yu Zhilin came here to investigate the crime scene, did you tell him what you saw? No, sir. I tried to speak to him, but he kept telling me to leave. He said there were too many people around. I didn't know who else to talk to, so I waited for him to come back. He never did. He's fired! Although the evidence doesn't point us toward a new suspect, we can at least prove that Shu Dan is innocent. I should speak to the Empress. Is he just gonna stand there in this empty house where a murder took place? Out there. Let's see. Looks like it. You have an expression of relief on your face, Magistrate. I expect you bring good news? Yes, Your Majesty. My investigation has indeed shed new light on the matter of Shu Lin Fei's death. In that case, tell your tale. I do not wish to be kept in suspense for another moment. Case reenactment. Whoever killed Shu Lin Fei did so with ruthless premeditation. He stalked his prey with patience and purpose. He knew their routines, their habits, he knew their weaknesses. He was aware of Shu Dan's customary visits to the waterfront for late afternoon tea. He familiarized himself with Shu Lin Fei's schedule and knew when she would return from the temple she often visited him. He obtained this knowledge by spying on them. For days, maybe even weeks, the killer followed and observed the Shus. At night, he stood by this very window. Still and silent, he demonstrated an obsessive dedication. In this state, darkness and rain were his allies. Shu Dan could not have killed Shu Lin Fei because earlier that evening his walking stick was stolen by a man who knew his and his daughter's every move. Once he had left Shu Dan stranded, the killer made his way here to await Shu Lin Fei's arrival, but upon entering the house and seeing the cloaked stranger, the young woman did not flee. Astonishingly, she stood where he asked and did as he ordered. The killer accomplished this by breaking, yes, the walking stick. By now, the killer knew the Shus intimately. By breaking the walking stick, he was sending a chilling message. Unseen and unheard, he could get them anytime he wanted. Shu Lin Fei chose not to fight and risk her father's safety. If it was her the killer wanted, she was willing to sacrifice herself for a chance to save her father. Shu Lin Fei understood the threat, and she willingly sacrificed herself for a chance to save her father. The killing of Shu Lin Fei was a calculated move, but I fear it is only the first of many. I believe our killer is only at the beginning of his grand vision. If it wasn't enough for him to taunt us by leaving a rose or even by taking his victim's heart, he wanted us to know precisely that his journey of destruction had just begun. The note he left behind was designed to be a warning. In his note, he speaks of a wolf on the prowl, of slaves losing their hearts. In his mind, for reasons we have yet to understand, Shu Lin Fei was one of those slaves. He is warning us that more victims are to come. If what you say is true, Shu Linfei remained strong and selfless until the very end. How many of us would have the courage for such self-sacrifice? On the other hand, it seems we are facing a menace beyond what I had imagined. I'm afraid so, Your Majesty. This predator will not cease until his plan has come to fruition, until we stop him. I intend to... Oh. Your Majesty. Your Majesty, I have news from a night watchman in the central quarter. A woman. Another woman was murdered in her own home just 1 hour ago. So it is true. A predator is indeed among us. What else have you learned? Not much at the moment. Only that she was the newly wedded wife of Lam Haifeng, the late General Lam's son. One and the same, Your Majesty. General Lam would have been a strong supporter of your regime and need not succumb to pneumonia last winter. His only son, Lam Haifeng, was also a gifted army captain who still commands the loyalty of his father's troops. Yes, I recall hearing of his abrupt wedding last month. He retired from his official post and vowed to lead the life of a civilian. And now his wife has been murdered. There's more, Your Majesty. According to my sources, the treasonous General Zhang has recently courted Lam Haifeng's allegiance. Zhang is no doubt attempting to strengthen his rebellious coalition. Could it be that Zhang is trying to terrorize the young captain into obedience? That thought has crossed my mind. But if it's true, Zhang has been more despicable than I gave him credit for. Killing innocents is a line he will regret crossing. If I may interject, Your Majesty, I think we should proceed carefully and avoid jumping to conclusions. If we are wrong about General Zhang's involvement and accuse him openly, that could give your opposition an excuse to unite and start a civil war. Allow me to investigate the matter. If a thread is to be found that connects the killing of these two women to a plot against you, then I will find it. On the other hand, if this killer is but a single deranged man, we must not lose sight of his trail by chasing conspiracy theories. You're right, Magistrate. We need evidence. We must remember the stakes before we place our bets. You will go to the Lam residence, investigate what's happened to Lam Haifeng's wife, and report back with whatever ties you find between her, Shu Linfei, and General Zhang. If Zhang is indeed involved in any of it, he will pay dearly for his brazen treachery. Yes, Your Majesty. When Death's a Lion. I wonder what this font is. That Chinese writing. Okay. I'll save here. I'll triple save. Okay. I think that's it for today. I think I'm halfway through the game. That's why I'm stopping here. Because I feel like if I try to finish the game now, I'll probably end up sleeping very late. So I'll just stop. I started early anyways. Okay. I don't think I'll rate out for today, but I'll probably see you guys next time. I'll probably continue this, because if I'm already halfway, I'll just finish it, and then I'll go back to Axiom Verge and finish that. Because Axiom Verge is very hard on the brain, so I need a break from it, something chill, and this is perfectly chill. Oh, thank you, Emerald. Have a great rest of your day as well. See ya. All right, take care, everyone. Have a great rest of your... What's today? Wednesday. Oh God, I don't know what day it is already. Have a great rest of your Wednesday and a great rest of your week, and I'll see you all next time. We'll see how Detective D solves these murders and see how it all comes together. All right, see ya, everyone. Take care. Bye.